Okay, this is my zero turn that I actually purchased with no engine. I ended up, because it didn't have an engine, I stole this engine out of a John Deere LT160. This is a CV460S. This is a Kohler engine. CV460S. This thing has been a die-hard. It has been brutally reliable. The only thing I really focus on is just keeping clean oil in it. It hasn't been charging the battery properly. So the question is my Kohler engine stator dead? And today we're going to test it and show you how. Sorry, I had to get down a little closer. So this is your rectifier. This is what cleans up the alternating current that is coming out of the stator, which is underneath here. And the important terminals are this one and this one, the one on the left, one on the right. These are the terminals that go with this left wire and right wire. This is what comes out from in underneath here from the stator. These are your feed lines from the stator, this one and this one. These are the important ones. So to test and see if your stator is actually charging, and this is kind of where you start, because if it's putting out what it's supposed to, you don't have to worry about this. It's not a this problem, a rectifier problem. It's a stator problem. So all you have to do is wiggle this guy loose and pull this off, and then put some test leads on this side and the other side, and then put them on alternating voltage and test, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, here's your setup. You put a line in one side on the left, one side on the right. It doesn't matter which way they're facing because it's measuring alternating current. And then when you go up to your voltmeter, turn this guy to voltage. And if you see that little wavy line, that means alternating back and forth. So there's your starting point. And then you have to start the engine and see what that reads. It should be between, it's something like 30 and 50 volts is what is supposed to come out of what we're testing. So let's see what it comes out as. So that reads about 4 volts. Did I somewhat expect this? Yeah, I sort of did. It's had issues it was towards the, I don't know, end of last season, mowing season, that started to kind of notice that the battery wasn't charging real good. So this doesn't shock me, but this is your stator test. If you put it on those two and you run it, it should see between 30 and 50 volts, and it was showing us 4. So that stator is dead, really dead. I'll show you the kit that I ordered, and then we're going to swap this out real quick, including the rectifier, because the kit came with one. To get this off, I used, now I have no idea if this is, like I said, tractor's probably been through a few hands. I used a 4 millimeter hex for this one bolt here. There were some really small ones here, which were 1/4 inch. Small. If you try that with your normal millimeter set, either one's too big or too small, you can't catch them. So you got to switch the standard on this. And then the other ones I just got out with 8s. There's a couple 10s. Not a big deal. If you have a various assortment of just kind of, small sockets and some hex wrenches, you'll be fine. There's the rectifier. Pretty easy to take it off. And then there's your cover piece. And there's what it looks like underneath. We're gonna start taking this stuff off so we can get down to the actual stator, which should be under here. Should be up under the inside of that. So let's get. Now you probably saw me drill a couple holes in here and here. I'd like to get this off, but they use these deforming nuts to hold this guy on top, and this is old plastic, and I'm not sure if these tabs are going to hold up if I do that. So I just drilled a couple little holes in this and just chewed it out, so that way I can get to the bolts I want to underneath, and hopefully that'll come off. It's a 13 millimeter, the big bolt that comes off this. That's got to come out. Now it looks like this is just sat down in. I don't think there's any kind of, you know, friction fit. For something like this, I like to take a little breaker bar and just put it in somewhere kind of snug, rest it up against. There's a little piece of the housing that stands up here, and I'm just putting it between that and the gear, and I'm just bumping it. And all I'm trying to do is just loosen both sides. Yep. And all you got to do is work one side, then work the other, and most of the time it kind of lets loose, and then you can pull it right off. It's just that easy. It's not hard. A lot of the times this stuff isn't friction fit. You just got to work on one side then the other, and it kind of loosens it up. Once that thing pops off, you're down to your stator. It's that easy. It's a pretty quick repair. So here you got your old stator. While you're in here, man, clean all this kind of stuff out. All this stuff that you never get down to. You know, do what you can. But that's your stator. We'll pull this off. We'll put in the new one. It looks like there's one bolt there that holds the line that runs down, comes out here. We'll take a look at that real quick and get this swapped out. 2 8mm bolts was all that held that stator in. Interestingly, this thing where it goes down through the actual body here and then comes down to this connector, that connector is not going to make it through this hole. So I'm going to end up having to clip that free so I can get that through. But they actually kind of plan on that, which is interesting. On the Chinese kit that I ordered from Amazon, here's your new stator, and then instead of that big plug like they have on the other one, they have these just slide prongs. And that goes onto those. Now, could you probably just pull the back end of those off, like pull them out of the actual plug, tear it apart or something? Yeah, you probably could, but I'm just going to clip them. It'll just be easier. And then they give you, so you can reconnect the black line that's in the middle, an extra one of these. So, interesting. And then there's your new rectifier. So we're going to try all this. There's your stator. They also send these things with spark plugs. Now, I've ordered a lot of stuff off Amazon you know, where they throw in a free spark plug, you know, whatever, it'll be some four-wheeler parts, and they just, it's almost like they don't even care. They just slap in a spark plug. Most of the time it's not right. There's no marks on this box that say what it is, what size it is, anything. So if you pop it out, A and B K6 RTC, I'm actually going to pull out the plug that's in there and see if this is similar or if it goes in, and I'll let you know. Hey, I mean, if it works, it works. That's great. That's a free new spark plug, and he sends you two for some reason. No idea why. But K6 RTC, I will put that and see if it works. I will try to put it in the actual lawnmower. But this is where we're at. Let's clip those and let's get that pulled out. Man, while I was doing this, I just noticed while I was about to pull this off and clip these lines, that is your feed for your ignition. And you know, it looks like there's probably mice or a mouse under here at some point, and it looks like he chewed through my wire, so that's gonna have to be fixed while I'm under here too. I never had issues with ignition, but man, it's always, you know, fun, the kind of stuff you find when you're digging around an engine that, you know, may have been sitting somewhere, or was parked outside or on a farm or something. So anyway, we'll have to fix that too, because that's I can't leave that like that, especially once I've seen it. So let's get this fixed. You want to reuse this tie down on this clip to help keep the wire down out of the way. Reuse that guy, pull it off the old line. Alright, and when you put this back on, you put the key back on the key on the crankshaft. I actually knocked that key out on accident. Man, almost lost that thing. That would have been a pain in the butt having to try to track that down. I didn't realize this thing fell out. It was cut in and recessed, but it was just hanging out. It's not actually a part of it. Now this is some kind of shielding that's on the outside of this. I actually want to leave this. I'm not going to take this off, even though it's old. It protects extra shielding to this wire, the actual coil wire. So I'm not gonna take that off. All right, we have everything set up to be tested. I don't have this outer cap on, but it's okay. We're just gonna test it, get it started, and then check the voltage that's coming out. Now you can see 34 alternating volts coming off of the two wires. 34, 35. And I'm only at, I don't know, 30% throttle. So clearly the stator was dead from the previous one. So that's your best evidence right there. Okay, since that test went good, engine started good, so clearly our fix on the coil has worked well. It ran fine. Where's the spark plug? It's on that side. So we'll go ahead and put this all back together, and then we'll put on the rectifier and we'll test it all. Part is super important. This, which you saw earlier in the video, is on the right hand side of that rectifier. This is a grounding strap. So this connects the body of the rectifier to the actual engine piece itself. Sometimes it's a wire. In this case, it's this piece. So what you want to do is dress this, wire brush the daylights out of this face and bottom on this face and on this face. Wire brush, wire brush, wire brush. Can't be too much. The reason why you're wire brushing all this so much is to get a nice rust-free good connection for the grounding of this. And again, the reason why you're cleaning this so good and scrubbing it so good is so these get good contact surfaces, because this is the way that this grounds. It's not going to charge unless this is properly grounded. Everything is hooked back up. These are your two stator wires on the outside, and this is your middle wire which feeds back in. And I know this is all hacked up. I had to make this engine work for this frame, so I had to do some adjustments, but everything is hooked up. So now at the battery we should be seeing some voltage higher than, you know, 12 and a half. Should be seeing some actual charging voltage coming out of this thing now. So let's go ahead and start it and see what she's got. Alright, there we go. After we started it and ran it for a second, she's leveled off at 13.6 as far as voltage at the battery. So that shows you that the stator works and the rectifier is working. Repair complete. It's that easy. It took me a grand total, including the videotaping, about an hour and a half. Alright, for the video's sake, the thing that came out of it looks like a FR9DC. FR9DC. And this one came with a pack is a K6RTC. So this was, they're completely different piece numbers, I think. But I'm going to slap this in and see if it works. For the sake of the video, for the sake of reviewing the parts that I'm going to post, what piece I got, I'm going to slap it in and see what it does. Alright, here's the test. Let's see if it runs it. Holy cow, it actually works. I've never gotten a spark plug with a random kit that they just throw in as the side piece, as like an extra, that ever worked, and that actually works. It's probably a different heat depth of plug. It's, who knows, it's probably still not right, but hey, I'm gonna run it for the sake of running it and we'll see how it does.